All right, now you can start.
Cool.
All right, now you can start. There you
So
go.
I'm in college. I'm doing my thing. I'm hustling. Finding my lane. And I mean, I'm doing everything. This is at the peak of drop shipping. So I get wind of drop shipping. I'm drop shipping books. I'm drop shipping Christmas toys, whatever. Right. We get into a couple of malls in the Metro Atlanta area. And so I start, I'm running multiple kiosks at different malls, and I'm doing the Christmas thing, and holidays, and I'm your guy, right? Valentine's, we got the little basket and all that kind of stuff, and
Okay.
it's just a numbers game, right? So all I got to do is, and I'm in college, right? Freshman, sophomore year in college. By the fall of my sophomore year, I'm grossing 80K a month. I start to really reconsider my college plans, right? Go to the
Uh-huh,
parents, they're
uh-huh.
like, no way, bro. It's not happening. Don't even try it, right? And so I ended up
Okay.
I'm like, hey, I know I've made some money, so I think I need to get my taxes done. So I send them my receipts, and they're like, hey, we got to talk about this. What is this? I send them my books, and the conversation turned immediately, right? And so I had that year off. I took a year off. To just kind of really focus on the business and start a healthcare business, um, um, specifically medical devices.
Okay.
And so we were doing a lot of deals with local hospitals, nursing homes, all that kind of stuff. And at the time, it was just a horrible time for Medicare suppliers, which we were one. Um,
Mm.
Rates weren't good. It was just a bad time to get into the business. And ultimately, I walked into government contracts, right?
Mm.
Probably saw a couple of one of your videos, right? Your early stuff, man.
Yeah. Right.
Uh, I'm like, hey, I got to check this out. And so I said, hey, I got the supplies, right? Now I just got
Right.
to figure out how to get it to my end user. And so we ended up winning our first contract, supplying DoD with defibrillators, and that was crazy for me. Specifically, the money was cool, but it's like, bro, do you know who the client is? The client is
Right.
crazy.
Right. Yeah. No, I
Yeah,
agree. No, I
yeah.
agree. Right. Yeah.
So
Yeah. No.
and then see, you back then, you got was FBO, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
seeing my company name on the site, like as the awardee. Like this
There
is
you go.
this is
Okay.
hard. This
Yeah.
hard right here.
Yeah. I like that.
And
I like
so,
that. Yeah.
within 8 months, we had scaled to over $1 million gross revenue, and to date, we've done over $155 million in gross revenue. So it's been a blessing. It's changed the entire dynamic of the way I look at life,
Mm.
see things. 2020, my company built. I wanted to try my hand at construction and real estate
Okay.
development.
Yeah.
Right, in 2020, we started a 250 a single family home build in Atlanta, and we finished that build and sold in 2023.
Mm.
We've been having fun, man. Closed $100 million supply agreement in 2022, in the space of drones, artificial intelligence, defense, aerospace, that whole realm. So we've been doing a lot of cool things, man, and so it's been fun.
Ah, I like it. No, that's awesome. So when you did the defibrillator stuff, how
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
what I love, and I like your personality because it's like the money's cool, but my name was on here. You know who the client
Yeah,
is, the customer.
man. What
You know, and I
that?
think that to me is I agree, right? And as we were talking just before we start this call, I said I believe, like we said, we're the undiscovered group of people, right? I
Yep.
don't want to say minorities, and I said we're undiscovered because we have talents and skills and we have the ability to be able to do that. A lot of people say government contracting is hard or difficult or it's very competitive. What do you say to that?
Yeah, no, I just think it calls into question the character of the person, right?
Mm,
If you're a person where, show me a brick wall, man, I show you a way to get through it. It just depends on, that character that you develop. Anything. I say it like this, Eric. I mean, it's hard to attain wealth. It's hard to get rich, but it's hard to being broke, bro. That's that's legit, man.
that's
Try
it.
it out. That's
Oh no, no, no.
that's hard, man.
It's no,
So
no. Listen, let me tell
you
you. Hold
know,
on, wait. Before you continue, I want to say something. It's funny you say that because I was looking at some TikToks, right, and
yeah.
they were telling people to evacuate because we had this hurricane, and
Hmm.
so people say, "I can't afford to evacuate. I don't have that kind of money. That's a luxury." People talking about evacuating. So if evacuating for your safety in your life
For
is a
your life.
luxury,
Yeah.
that 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 says to your point,
Yeah.
it's harder being broke
Yeah.
because if you're saying my life I don't
Yep.
have enough resources to save my
Save my
life.
life. Come on, man. Yeah.
That's a problem.
Yeah.
That's a
Yeah.
problem.
That's a
That
huge
that
problem,
that
bro.
to me should be that video should have got 80,000 views. That should have been
Yeah.
80,000 people saying, I need to change what I'm doing and
Yeah.
rethink, consider, where I'm at in my life and what like we shouldn't be sitting here debating whether or not my life has is worth whatever I don't know $10,000 or
Right.
5,000 whatever we're arguing over the amount of money it takes to evacuate.
Yeah. 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 It's a mindset, man. It's a mindset. And so I think you have to come to anything that you want to do great. I think you have to come up with a mindset focused, and your vision has to be bigger than your fears. Right at the end of the day, I think people that say it's too hard or it's too complex or I think their vision for what they see in this space, right, is probably not big enough, right? And the fear outweighs what I can see, so I'll back down.
How do we fix that?
Man, that's the question of the century.
I,
That's the question everybody wants to know, man. I think it's a generational. I think it's something that's going to have to, in some cases, going to have to die away. I think there's re-education that has to happen, right? And I think for a lot of people, where mindsets are concerned, how do you take a person that was in prison in their mind first before they were ever shackled, right? They've been in prison in their mind, and so how do you unlock that? How do you set that person free, right? And so I think there's a bit of self will that has to come in play in that space. But I think for those that are ready and able and willing, man, the opportunity is endless, and I think that's the thing I love about this space that we operate in. You and I know it both. I mean, there's literally. My dad used to say this growing up as a kid. There's 1,000 ways to skin a cat. He didn't like cats. But, there's 1,000 ways to skin a cat, and there's so many ways to make the life that you want to produce happen in this space. And I think that's something that if you can wrap your mind around that, and you can put aside your fears, your doubts, and then just the complexities, right? One of the things I see all the time happening is folks that we bring into this space of contracting and government contracting, procurement, whether it's on a state, local, federal level. I mean, they're just great networkers, and they are coming into the space. Maybe they have a certification that carries some weight, or they know a couple of people, and they're just bringing people to the table, representing them. Representing themselves as the prime, and the company coming right behind them, fulfilling the work. These are $1 million deals, right? millions of dollars on the table, and all you are is a you are a good networker.
Right.
You're a people person. So the opportunity is there, and it's just how you look at a thing, right? So
You
I
know,
think
I
I have a
like
bigger
that.
fear about poverty than I do about the fear of success.
You know, it's interesting, and see, now you touched on another one of my points, because I have several of my students that I've talked to, and they said, Eric, I know what you're telling me works because we've shown you story after story after story. I said,
Right.
then why don't you do the activities? And I said that I believe it's a fear of success, right?
Mhm.
Not fear of failure. Because we always
Yeah.
say fear of failure,
Yeah.
but I said it's not
Yeah.
failure that you're afraid of, it's the
Yeah.
success and what comes with it.
Yeah.
And I said, I
Eric.
think, go ahead. That's can we
Yeah.
touch on that?
Yeah. Do you think I'm gonna flip the script on you? Um, do you think if you weren't doing this work, would you be a counselor? Because I'm
Counselor.
sure the counselor, yeah, therapist, because I'm
No.
sure that the work that I mean, there's so much work in the mental space, right? Like,
Oh, yes, yes.
the mindset, the
Right.
getting someone to believe something that they can't see with their own two eyes. But that's
Yes.
what vision is. Vision is not something that you can see with your two eyes. Vision is what you can't see. It's what you see when your eyes are closed. When
Mhm,
what you see with your eyes are open is called reality, right?
mhm.
So vision is the opposite of that, and so that's hard for a lot of people, and I think that's the part of, we were playing around earlier saying being stuck in the matrix.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
it, you can't see what you can't see but what's in front of you, and that's only half the story.
So what's interesting, again, knowing that your background, my background, that's what the people who are all very religious Christian talk about faith. That we
Right.
know that word, but we don't practice it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And I have to even remind some of my team members, I go, you guys said that you're Christian, you're religious, and in the Bible talks about faith in so many scriptures and verses, but you
Hmm.
don't live it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So, vision is a great way of saying it. And then for those believers, faith is another way of saying the same thing. It's
Yep.
the things that
Yep.
you can't see. So,
Yep.
how did you escape the matrix so young?
Oh man, I think I grew up around dreamers,
Mm,
and the realization, I'm just the reality of those dreams coming into fruition. Because when you see a person go through their entire life, there's angst on the face of that person on their deathbed, right? When every dream, it dies with them, right? And so
right.
I saw that growing up. I saw people that had amazing dreams, people that could sing the house down, people that could cook like nobody's business and should have had a chain restaurant, people that could preach but never jumped out there, people that should have started businesses, were fearful for one reason or another. And so I saw that all around me. It was palpable, right? And so I said, I don't want to do that, right? I don't want to come to the end and be in regret for what I didn't do. And so that's why I started so young. Like I said, man, I was out there hitting the pavement. Anything that was legal, I was gonna do it, man. And I had, I'm talking about, man, I got cousins and uncles that had some criminal enterprises that were out of this world. I'm not gonna call out no names because I don't know if the statute of limitations have,
Right,
hit for
right,
some
right,
of
right.
us.
Yeah.
But man, you talking about multi-million dollar criminal enterprises, bro. Like, if you can do that, right? In that world, right, where you don't have a office address, you don't have a phone number, you can't market your product openly. It's like, bro, if you
Right.
can do that, man, what could you do in this on this side of things? So yeah, I saw that, and and just wanted something different, because the results were chaos, right? The results were, you got an uncle that's been, 30-year alcoholic, or, the violence and prison and baby mamas, and, all that comes with it, the poverty. And then the mindset just reinforces it. So just wanted something different. And thankfully, I was just one of the ones that was, at an early age, I was able to get away, moving away from my extended family, and was able to get into a space where I was just mentored and groomed, um, by my father, who had amazing vision, who had huge dreams, and every day he was going out to make it happen. And so I was able to see that and glean from that.
Do you, when people hear big numbers, and we talked about kind of this off screen, right? My videos that say very little numbers get lots of views, big numbers get no views, right? Because
Yeah.
we don't have the vision. Do
Yeah.
you think that it's harder to do a smaller contract than it is to do a bigger contract? What are your thoughts on that?
No, man. I think the big ones are the easier ones, man. I mean, the scrutiny that goes into a small contract, I mean, it's insane, you know. And I think at a certain level, once you break through a certain level, the expectation is you know what you're doing, right?
Right, right.
So it comes with a level of professionalism. The people that you do work with, it's a whole different realm, right? We're not talking about, cousin Ray Ray, I'm subbing out to cousin Ray Ray. We
Right.
talking about, we're tapping into institutional money. We got attorneys, and we got people that know what they're doing. So even if you don't know what you're doing, you got people around you that know what you're doing, know what
Yeah.
they're doing, and so
Right.
that helps and guides us through. And so I think that's one of the things that differentiates, those big contracts versus those small contracts. There's a lot more, even assistance and openness. I feel like, even from the government end, the assistance that we've gotten from a lot of these bigger opportunities have been, because, hey, you've worked to this point. So, even if there's something that we need to work you through, or, and there's an expectation that you come with professionalism and know what you're doing. But I think, much easier. And the incentives are much better.
I would agree, but I
Yeah.
like hearing from other people. I would say, my biggest contract was the easiest contracts I've ever done.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you're right. The work to get up to that, right? To get into that league, to play in that space, that's what you have to do. What was something that was hard when you initially started?
For me, it was, so I started off, with the low hanging fruit. I think that was challenging, because I didn't have systems in place, and so it was, a mentor of mine, an attorney mentor of mine, shared with me, like, "Hey, man, you got to get systems in your business." And she's like, "Hey, I sat out 6 months, and just created systems for every role, for every function." And so, um, I think in the very beginning, maintaining your peace is important, right? Not allowing the work to overwhelm you, or the lack of this, or, not having all the resource in the very beginning. It can be overwhelming. And there's the stress that comes with that. So, funny enough, I ended up developing, non-voluntary, or involuntary, shall I say, involuntary head tremors as a result of just
Mm,
stress, bro. Yeah.
wow.
And they were crazy. They would go on for hours. And
Mm,
so that really called into, question for me, first of all, is this thing worth it? Yes, I felt like it was worth it. So if it's worth it and I'm going to continue to do it, I need to do it differently, right? And
right.
so Man, I just have a I don't care attitude today. It's like, hey, what will happen will happen. We're gonna put our we're gonna put our very best down and do the work to our best ability. But you know, don't sweat the small stuff.
Love it. I love it. No, listen, I think this is great. What are you up to now recently? I mean, you mentioned the project that you talked about, the supply agreement. What else are you up to? You
Yeah,
built the
man.
homes out there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You want to talk about where you're at, or you don't talk
Yeah, yeah,
about?
yeah. No, 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 man. You're gonna have people tracking me down. You gotta keep people
I know, right? That's why. Listen, that's why. Hey, man, look. Hey, I listen. I promise you. Yeah, I understand.
uh, but yeah, man.
Yeah,
Recently just got married, man.
nice.
About a
Congratulations.
Yeah, about a month ago, and I'm enjoying life with the new missus, man. Taking one
Nice.
step at a time, learning this marriage thing, man. I've been dominating every other area, but this one is throwing me for a loop, brother.
Hey,
So pray for me, man.
I'm praying for you. You know what we start our conversation with when we first started on the channel, right? I told you. I said
Oh
I
yeah,
opened up about my vulnerabilities. Okay,
yep,
that's right.
yep,
I said,
yep.
listen, you want
You
to ask
did.
before you even ask.
Yep,
All those other areas of my life is going well,
that's
except
it.
this one area right here.
Yeah, man.
So
It's a
and I
learning journey,
yeah,
and we've been together for quite some time, and we the love is there, man, genuine love, but it's a different. Being married is very different. I really did not think it would be that much different, to be
mm,
honest. We worked
right,
together, we did everything together prior to being engaged, dating, and but now to see that we are like, hey, we in this thing, ain't no going back,
right.
so that's cool. So it's learning every day, man, and I wouldn't do it with anybody else, man. But yeah, man, I'm learning. Patience is one thing. Patience.
Patient.
Be patient and talk softly. To speak softly.
Okay,
Yep.
okay,
Yep.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. No, no, I listen.
Yeah.
Hey, I promise you. One thing you asked me something earlier, right? When you asked me, you
Uh-huh.
said if I wasn't doing this, would I be a counselor? So,
Uh-huh.
I, what I would probably be doing is talking about relationship advice. Would be what I would be doing. Like that's my thing next. Like when I finish this
Ah,
self-kind journey,
okay.
I do want to talk about relationship advice. And let me tell you why. Because I've had some of my friends who are like PhD and they went to school for all this like
Yeah.
sociology but I go, why don't you guys start like a podcast on like relationships
Right.
and they're just afraid. Like so many people are afraid to do that. So I'm like, okay,
Mhm.
fine. When I finish my GovCon stuff and like I
Mhm.
feel like I've helped all y'all enough, then I want to go into like the whole relationship thing because
Yeah.
they're projecting, right? What by 2030, 45% of women in America can be single.
Whoa. That's crazy.
And so one of the things that I asked you was your wife American, right? Because
Yeah. Yeah.
of the things that you shared with me about their experiences and that kind of stuff. Because
Mhm.
I don't have any friends that are recently getting married to American wives.
Yeah.
None
That's
of them.
true. I believe
None
that.
of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
See,
I
it's
believe
true,
that.
right?
I believe that. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and I live in the area where I live is very fluent area,
Mhm. Mhm.
and these people don't have spouses. No one has no like
Yeah.
they don't have like the
Yeah.
all the women here are single,
Yeah.
and they
Yeah.
have all of the financial acumens and
Yep.
accolades,
Yeah.
but they don't
It
have
it's not
that.
enough, bro. That's
Not enough.
it's not. I just heard the statistic that 77% of, or excuse me, a person's net worth is increased by 77% um, once they are actively working in a marriage, moving together in a marriage.
Right.
Financially, it makes sense,
It
but
makes all the sense in the
what's
world.
happening? What's happening right now?
No,
I
no, no.
think
I know. I don't know. And
it's
so
it's,
that's
it's a
why
conversation. It's a
it's
conversation, man.
right. It's a good conversation. And I know that there's so much opinions on both sides of the aisle,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
That it's make for a lot of content, a lot
Oh
of
yeah.
conversation,
Oh yeah.
and
Oh
it'd be
yeah.
fun because you're gonna if you got people on both sides, because it's very polarizing, this
It
conversation,
is. It is. Yeah.
right?
It's like
It's
politics.
it's like politics. It's just like politics. It's very polarizing.
Yep.
So I think it would just be a lot of fun because as I have conversations with people personally, right, and I talk about these subjects because I enjoy it.
Yeah.
Um, and I said, America has 300 million people, right?
Mhm.
Roughly. The
Right.
world is 7 billion people. So we
Mhm.
represent only 5% of the world's population.
Right.
So if but as we as Americans think the world should do what we want, or as we operate,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
when we talk about leaving the matrix, when you leave America, the matrix, the rest of
Yeah.
the world's not doing what we're doing.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so many of us have not left, so we don't see that. So we think that this is the only way.
Right. Right. This is the
When
norm.
95%,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
just statistically, like you said, hey, you do it facts and figures and numbers.
Yeah. And I think we use a lot of different metrics for what success looks like, right?
Right,
I think
right,
the metric that we often don't use here in the States is happiness, right? Health,
right,
family longevity. These things that
right.
have culturally, for centuries, been the metric that we use for success. What success look like?
Absolutely.
Success
Right.
is. I think success for a lot of folks here in the States have become, what does what does your bottom line look like month to month? What is your
Yeah.
net worth? What car do you drive? What shoes do you wear? Which is a part of the story, of course, but I don't think it's the complete story.
Well, I'll tell you this. One of my employees lives overseas. Well, he travels different countries. He's over in Europe now. And as a person, he's been living away from America for the last 9 years. And he says that, and he says America's the only country that when you first meet people, you ask them what they do. And the rest
Yeah,
of the world, people don't ask you what you do when they first meet you.
yeah,
You can
yep,
know a person for 2 months and not know what they do.
yeah, yeah,
Do you understand?
yeah,
So
absolutely.
we're the only people when we meet you say, what do you do?
Yep,
What difference does it
yep,
make?
yep, yep.
That has
Because
nothing to do with our shared interests, our hobbies, our likes, our dislikes. That has
yeah,
nothing to do with any of that. What is that? What do I do? Make a difference in terms of how we're going to treat each other, how we're going to value it. Like,
yeah,
so outside of here, people, they're trying to get to know you as the human, as the individual, as the person. Do you like to play basketball? Do you play pickleball?
right,
Right? What do you do on the
right. Who are
weekend?
you
What's
as
your
a person?
Sundays like?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
And so I thought that was an interesting point that he brings up. He says, "Look," and again, he's way more traveled than me because he's been living out of here for over, like I said, 9 years now. And he's like, "No one else does that."
yeah, yeah. I mean, to reinforce that point, I know, when you people introduce themselves in the States, they start off there, right?
Mhm.
When you ask them, who are you? They start off with their occupation, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like you're not your occupation.
Not your occupation. You're not your occupation.
Yep.
No, you're not. And as you can imagine, what I do, it's so interesting. I don't even know what to tell people. I just usually make up something. I do actually say I'm a teacher. I'll say I'm an engineer. I'll just
Yeah.
something that it's easy for people to understand,
Yeah.
just to
Yeah. Yeah.
ease them, you know?
Just
Just
just some random. Every day is something different.
yeah, I'm the grocery guy,
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. 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 See what
yeah,
the response is.
yeah, just to see
Yeah.
how they're gonna treat you,
But
like,
because honestly, if I'm able to hold good conversation, if I'm an interesting person, who cares, right?
what does
Yeah,
it matter?
I had a kid come to my office. He was looking for a job, and I said, "Hey, man," in the interview process, he was going to be in my executive office, and so I do the last interview with him, and I said, "Hey, man, you're boring. You got all these degrees. You've worked these amazing companies. You're boring as hell, bro. Like you gotta. He's like, excuse me. I said, hey man, get something interesting on your resume. Like, become an interesting person to talk to. Right? You can't do what we do without being an interesting person and having a story to tell. Right? And so he called me a couple of weeks ago, and he's like, hey man, he's a runner, so he enjoys running. And then he's like, man, I started a running club, and we hike in the mountain every other week, and I met all these people as a result. I'm like, bro, you're on the right track. So yeah.
That's very good advice. I like that. That's very no, that's very good advice. I tell people, no, that's amazing advice.
Yeah, yeah. And then it was advice I took myself, right? Sometimes our conversations are so business inundated, right?
Yeah.
So I'm here shortly. I'll be starting a pilot school, man. So I'm gonna be a pilot soon.
Way, my
Yeah, yeah,
man. Let's
yeah,
go, baby.
man.
I
Yeah,
love it. I
yeah,
love it. I love
yeah.
it. Yeah, we have another.
Have something interesting to talk about, man.
Yeah. No, no, no. Yeah, definitely. No, I agree with
Yeah,
you. Well, I usually, like I said, I'm always trying stuff. So, like I said, like I said, I just came back. My son just moved out of the
yeah, man.
country.
You're an adventurer, dude. I
Yeah,
love
I'm
it.
more of yeah. So
Yeah,
so look, I can always relate to people on some level of
yeah, yeah,
some capacity, like you said. I mean, whether it's
yeah,
a sport or an activity. I mean,
yeah,
again, you talk about running. Like you said. I mean, we did a 5K as a group recently. Talk about hiking. I just hiked
yeah.
over in Bogota. I hiked Mount Sarate.
Oh
So
man.
I did that recently. In fact, every time I go to Bogota, I usually hike the mountain. So
Yeah, man. And look at the joy it brings to your face, bro.
oh
I
man,
mean,
it's
you're just in your natural element.
absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely. No, listen, I one of the things that I think has been my biggest contributor to mental health for me personally has been I try and walk 5 miles a day.
yeah.
Right? And so I live right by the ocean. I go to the beach, I walk along the boardwalk,
Mhm.
and, like they said, smell the roses. I get outside, I get sunlight, I
Yeah,
get the beach, the smell from the sand, sometimes stick my toes in, like the
yeah,
ocean, like, I just really, I try to enjoy all of God's creations, all of all
yeah,
the earth, all the stuff that, like you said, you can't pay for, that we
yeah,
just kinda, like, walk past every day. We don't
yep,
pay it any attention, right?
yep,
We don't embrace it. We don't listen to the birds. And,
yeah, yeah,
people don't call to me like, dude, you hear all those birds are singing. I'm like, yeah, man, right?
yeah,
That's not,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah. It's that being in four walls all the time,
Right,
with the
right.
air conditioning and the dust and all the stuff coming in your nose. And,
Yeah,
most people never open their windows in years. They don't get any
yeah.
fresh air.
True,
I mean, I get
true.
out and every morning, every single morning, I get out and doesn't matter what country or state or city, people know me for walking.
Yeah,
So
that's
I think that's
cool.
a great thing, man. But
That's
no,
cool.
listen, I appreciate you. I appreciate you reaching out to me and having a conversation. Because I like this and I hope and I want you to close out with some people. But for me, like I said to you, I struggle with talking about such, setting the bar so low for
Mhm.
people that look like us because I know that we're so much greater and we could do so much more. And so if
Yeah,
I only talk about $5,000 things and $10,000 things and not the reality of the things that we're actually doing,
yep,
you know,
yeah,
then I feel like I've cheated everyone. And
yeah,
I don't want I going back to what you said, I don't wanna get to my deathbed and say, "Well, I didn't tell them about all those millions of dollars of contracts. I didn't tell them about the
yeah,
real contracts." I
yeah,
didn't tell them
yeah,
about the big
yeah,
stuff. I only told them about the 5,000 and get the box truck and
right, right,
2,000. I didn't
right,
tell them about the really juicy stuff over here that,
right,
we're
right.
working on. I feel like, I would have cheated the people. So,
Yeah,
but,
yeah,
you talk to that as you close us out, you
yeah,
know?
man. It's important that we number one, we live our authentic selves, um, and we communicate that. So I think as we are continually doing the work to change the mindset, as people are taking this in, just keep in mind that opportunities are endless, and the opportunities end where your vision ends, right? Where your mindset can take you. You know, people would always say, growing up, you know, the sky is the limit. No, it's not. You know, it's truly not. I mean, we got people building spaceships going to Mars, like in real time,
Real
right?
time.
We,
Right.
we,
Right.
we
You
rather go
see it.
build a town
Now you can
on
see it.
Mars,
Right. You
right?
see them leaving Earth, the
Right.
sky, and going to space.
Something that was just, we can't even use that saying anymore, right? The sky's the limit. No, Mars is looking like the new limit,
Mars and
right?
the limit.
So,
Right. Mars and the
and
limit.
beyond, right? So, um, potential is endless, and it just takes a concerted effort on your part to continue to buy into it, right? It's going to be it's a leap, right? But just take it, right? And don't think taking that leap will look like it's not going to be scary, or there's not going to be fear, there's not going to be challenges. No, it's going to come with all those things, but it's better than the alternative, right? It's always better than alternative. Doing something and not wondering, if I had done this, what would that look like, right?
Yeah.
Just do it, right? Just do it and see what happens, and enjoy the ride, enjoy the journey. I'll end with this. My mentor, one of my mentors that kind of helped me to set my path in college, Dr. Kenneth P. Gilliam, a college professor of mine, and the dean of our business college, the first Black man to serve as dean of our business college. Um, uh, Academic, super smart guy. And I said, at the time he was maybe 75. He's now late. But at the time he was maybe 75. And I said, Dr. Gilliam, what is the biggest lesson out of all your life? If you were to give me one thing, what would be your pass down to me? What would be the biggest lesson you've learned? And he said, man, don't sweat the small stuff. The things that you think are a big deal today will be nothing tomorrow, right? So live every life, enjoy it, and don't sweat the small stuff. So, in the words of Kenneth P. Gilliam, I'll say that. I'll end with that. Don't sweat the small stuff.
Don't sweat the small stuff. I love it. I love it. Yeah, man. Listen, that was great. That was great. I appreciate it. I appreciate meeting you. I appreciate. Why is this thing won't end?
Absolutely.